My ex and I have a 12-year-old boy who's going through some things. We found a therapist and we've been seeing her for a couple of years. It hasn't been life-changing for me in any way. In fact, it became more of a pointless chore like making your bed or folding your underwear. I might have gotten a few things out of it, but would not do it again. A few weeks ago, I had told our therapist that it's bizarre to not have to worry about money for the first time in my life. I make good money and don't have many bills. I'm saving like $1,000 a month. Last week, the therapist asked me if I could start making a co-payment. I don't have a co-payment because my insurance covers 100% of therapy sessions. I explained that to her. She said that was true, but maybe I could start paying like $20 in cash because she's not making a lot with what my insurance pays her. Like a tip. I was at a loss for words. I said, and I suppose this has no relation to my telling you that I had disposable income from a few weeks ago. She said, of course not. It was like she was asking for a raise, Lowell. I said I'd think about it. I found nothing about tipping your therapist. I talked to my ex and said I was firing the therapist. She told me not to throw away 2 years of work, and I said this therapist tried taking advantage of me. She offered to pay, and I said I'm not stopping you, but I'm not doing the sessions anymore, and neither is our son. The trust I had in our therapist is forever broken. I left a voicemail and a text message explaining we weren't in need of services anymore. I haven't heard back. Guess what? Our lives didn't fall apart, and the therapist replied that I totally misunderstood this whole tip thing. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Hey, therapist here. As many people have said, very unethical how the therapist approached this. I'm not very familiar with making agreements for a set small amount with insurance companies, but if they agreed to it, changing the payment plan midway through treatment is suspicious. Having said that, I hope you find a therapist for your son, even if it's only for him and not you. If your son had a positive working relationship with this person, it abruptly went away without a transition period for a new clinician. If your son was getting something out of therapy, or can, I would urge you to reach out to more therapists, because there was a reason your son was going, and broken trust with one therapist doesn't mean that you and your son are now healed. And as an aside, therapy isn't about holding your lives together. You make it sound like you believe therapy is about keeping you away from the end of the world. Therapy is about challenging thoughts, understanding emotions, and changing behavior, which doesn't have to be a life-changing event. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. So your insurance pays 100% of what the therapist charges, and they wanted a copay, money on top of what they would normally charge. For one, tipping of a therapist is not a thing. Secondly, if the therapist wants more money, they need to either raise their rates, or if it's in a group practice employee situation, ask for a raise or something. The therapist was unethical in this situation, whether you have disposable income or not, and should be reported to their professional board for a breach of ethics, in addition to your insurance company for attempting to double dip. Comment 3. Not the idiot that was trashy, and she needs to bill the insurance for more if she wants a raise. It's fine to think your time is worth more, but there are channels for this sort of thing. One slight issue might be unilaterally cancelling the therapist your family has worked with. Your family not falling apart isn't really an indicator of her usefulness. Sounds like you are projecting how you personally feel about therapy onto your other family members. I certainly understand wanting to pursue a different therapist, but maybe wait until a replacement had been secured. I don't know. Now for the update. So fast forward 2 weeks, picture this. I'm at work minding my own business, and I get a call from my ex, absolutely livid. She's saying our son got into a fight at school. A fight? Our boy, the one who gets nervous when he unalives a bug, apparently threw a punch at a classmate. Shocked, I tried to probe deeper, and she tells me that she's going to pull him out of school for the rest of the week. I asked her why, thinking that it must be something serious for her to react that way. She tells me that the fight might have been due to the sudden absence of therapy. Now, I was sticking to my guns about the therapist, but hearing this gave me pause. I started to feel this sick, sinking feeling. Was I wrong about the therapy? Was it actually helping him more than I thought? I decided to talk to our son, trying to understand his feelings. He admitted he was feeling frustrated and was finding it hard to express his emotions without the therapist. I was floored. For the first time, I felt a wave of guilt wash over me. I decided to call up the therapist and explained what happened. I was ready for an "I told you so," but instead she was very understanding. She told me that discontinuing therapy abruptly can sometimes lead to pent-up emotions, especially in kids who've been in long-term therapy. She suggested we gradually phase out the sessions with her, and gave me a list of colleagues she thought would be a good fit for our son if we felt he still needed therapy. She even mentioned that most of them accept our insurance, and none of them would need a cash copayment. So, long story short, this whole ordeal has been a wake-up call. I've learned that sometimes my own judgments and feelings can blur what's really best for my son. We've decided to try out a new therapist from the list. This time I'm going into it with an open mind, ready to truly work together for the betterment of our son's mental health. And as for the ex, well, she didn't say I told you so either, but I could hear it in her voice. But hey, I swallowed my pride and that's progress, right? Let's see how these next few weeks pan out. Now for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. You made a mistake, but you've owned up to it and taken steps to rectify the situation. You listened to your son's feelings and re-engaged with the therapist, demonstrating that you're willing to put your son's mental health first. Just ensure you keep this open communication with your son and his therapist in the future. 2. You're the idiot. You made a unilateral decision to discontinue your son's therapy without fully understanding the consequences. Therapy isn't something to be taken lightly and should never be stopped abruptly without proper consultation with the therapist and your son. You need to involve your son in decisions that directly affect him to avoid these situations in the future. 3. Everyone sucks here. Your ex should have communicated better about the importance of therapy for your son rather than blaming you entirely for the incident. However, you also should have taken a more active role in understanding the implications of discontinuing therapy. Going forward, it would be better for both of you to communicate effectively in matters concerning your son's well-being. Now for the next story. So I, a 44-year-old female, have a 20-year-old daughter named Alexandra, and she has a boyfriend named Marcus, who is 21 years old. When she first introduced us, I was happy and thought he was really nice and good for her. Today, my husband and I had my parents and my sister come over to our house. Alexandra was also there and invited Marcus over as well, which I was fine with. After Alexandra was done introducing Marcus to her grandparents and aunt, I noticed that Marcus seemed to be excessively showing my daughter affection. This included long, drawn-out kissing, hugging her for long periods of time, and letting her lay sprawled out on him on the couch. It made me feel uncomfortable, but I let it slide until I noticed Marcus was groping my daughter's butt while they kissed on one of my living room couches. I snapped by yelling, making them break away from each other, and said that Marcus needed to stop groping my daughter because it made me uncomfortable and it was disgusting to do in front of other people. There was silence until my daughter stood up and told me that she was leaving in a quiet tone. I tried to stop her, but she left anyway with Marcus. Alexandra later texted me saying that I was a jerk and a prude for embarrassing her and Marcus like that. I showed the text to my husband and he said that while I was right, I could have been nicer about it. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Everyone sucks here. Not the idiot previously. They're old enough to know what's appropriate behaviour in a public room with multiple family members over. You could have gone about it in a more gentle way, but I don't think it was necessary in the context. They're adults and knew what they were doing. You don't seem to have anything against either of them, just the behaviour. Make sure she knows you support her and her relationship. You're just not okay with that level of PDA in a communal room. Edit. Changing my opinion to everyone sucks here. It could have been handled in a much better way. Yelling and using words like disgusting just makes a scene and drives a wedge between OP and their daughter. I can still understand why OP may have responded the way they did due to the surprise shock of the situation, but it still would have been more productive for the situation and for their relationship to have handled it in a more gentle way. Ultimately, they should have known better. They shouldn't have had to be told not to be doing what they were doing. And I firmly stand by that. OP could have been gentler with the approach. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. I had to laugh at your blaming Marcus when your daughter was on top of him. This excessive affection works two ways. They are young and infatuated and are bound to be doing a lot of groping, but they should not be doing it in front of the entire family. You are a jerk for yelling at Marcus to stop groping, although you might have also admonished your daughter. You should have politely pointed out that this was not the time or the place for this kind of display of affection. Comment 3. Everyone sucks here. PDA, even if it's not exactly in public, is not appropriate, especially when a lot of family was there. I don't know why you yelled at just Marcus, though. She was an equal partner in this make-out session. And yes, you could have handled this so much better and quietly pulled your daughter aside and reminded her that family was around. You are only 44. Do you not remember being 20? Come on, now for the update. So today I got a knock on my door, which was surprising to say the least. I opened it to find none other than Marcus standing there. He seemed a bit nervous, and I'll admit I was a bit on edge too. But he asked if he could come in and talk, and I figured, why not? Marcus apologised to me for his behaviour at the family gathering. He admitted that he'd been overly affectionate and recognised that it had made everyone, especially me, feel uncomfortable. He also admitted that he was out of line and lacked respect. He explained how he and Alexandra had been talking, and he realised that he needed to respect not just her, but our family's boundaries as well. I appreciated his honesty and bravery to confront the issue head-on. We both agreed that it's crucial for him to show respect, and in return, I said that I will make an effort to be more understanding of their relationship. It wasn't easy, but we both apologised and decided to move forward. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my chest. I thought it was over and we would just carry on, but Marcus surprised me again by asking for my permission to talk to the rest of the family to apologise in person. I was taken aback but agreed, appreciating his maturity. And well, he did. He called up my parents, my sister, everyone. He apologised to them, and it was a huge step towards healing the wound that was created that unfortunate day. The best part, when Alexandra came home later that day, she and Marcus told us that they've decided to join a couple's counselling session to better understand each other and the boundaries within their relationship. It seems like this whole situation has made them more aware and respectful of their actions, and to see them taking steps to improve their relationship has made me more hopeful than I've been in a long time. Of course, it's not all washed away overnight. There's still a lot of work to do, but it's a start. I'm proud of Marcus for owning up to his part and making amends. I'm proud of Alexandra for being strong and mature in handling this situation. And I'm proud of myself and my husband for not shutting the door on Marcus, but instead giving him a chance to correct his mistakes. So here's to new beginnings and healing. I'm grateful for this chance to rebuild trust and respect. Sometimes the hardest moments lead us to the biggest lessons and the most significant growth. Thank you for your advice and support, Reddit community. Let's see what the future holds. Now for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. This is a classic example of how people should react when they've made a mistake. Marcus didn't just apologise, he took steps to make sure he wouldn't repeat his actions. Kudos to him and Alexandra for seeking counselling. It's not easy to recognise your flaws and actively work on them. 2. You're the idiot. While it's great that everyone is trying to mend fences, it seems like you're patting yourself on the back a little too hard here. It's Marcus and Alexandra who are doing the heavy lifting. Yes, it's good to be supportive, but don't take too much credit for their hard work. 3. No idiots here. It's really wonderful to see a situation where everyone involved is willing to apologise, forgive and move forward. The fact that Marcus is actively seeking help to change his behaviour is commendable. It's also great that you're not holding a grudge and are open to rebuilding the relationship. This is how mature adults handle conflict. Now for the next story. My husband, 25-year-old, and I, 25-year-old female, have a 6-week-old daughter. She's our first baby and the first grandchild in both of our families. We were advised by our paediatrician to not allow anyone besides ourselves to kiss our baby for the first 12 weeks minimum. This has been communicated to both of our families, who have been respectful of this, as well as our other boundaries and rules, despite a little bit of grumbling about it from his side. Last weekend we were over at my in-laws' house, and I had just finished breastfeeding my daughter, so she was all sleepy. I kissed her forehead before settling her to nap on my chest. My mother-in-law noticed and immediately remarked on it in a super passive-aggressive manner. "Oh, I'm so glad that we're able to kiss the baby now. Did your paediatrician update the rules?" I was super confused and asked her what she meant, and that the paediatrician's recommendation hadn't changed. She then accused me of violating the rules by kissing my own baby. I told her that the recommendation was that no one besides myself and my husband kiss our daughter, and she argued and heavily implied that I was being dishonest because I'd previously said nobody can kiss the baby, rather than nobody but husband and I can kiss the baby. She went on and on about this until I snapped that it should have been obvious that the rules we told her regarding our baby were about what we would/wouldn't allow other people to do. She called me a hypocrite, so I got up and shut myself in the guest room while my daughter continued to nap on me. A little while later, my mother-in-law came in and apologised, claiming it was a knee-jerk reaction and she was just confused and upset. She said she understands now that the rule only applies to other people. She then asked me if I would avoid kissing my baby in front of her until she's allowed to do so as well, because it's upsetting to see me doing that and knowing that she can't. I told her I can understand that it's frustrating to have a strong urge to kiss a baby and not be able to, but I am personally not going to stop kissing my own baby for the sake of her feelings. My mother-in-law is calling me disrespectful and a hypocrite and has gotten my sister-in-law on board with this as well. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This is absurd. You need to just limit contact with these nut jobs until your baby has had her immunisations. Your husband needs to step up here and deal with his relatives. Incidentally, when you kiss your baby, you pick up bacteria and viruses on her skin. Your body, with its mature immune system, creates antibodies which are delivered to her at her next feeding. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. If you like, I'd be happy to politely tell your mother-in-law to go to hell. In all honesty, your spouse needs to deal with this. The rule should always be, your parent, your problem, excepting those handful of situations where the in-laws like the spouse more than their own kid. Comment 3. Not the idiot. The reason the paediatrician asked this is that adults can very easily pass herpes from cold sores to babies and their immune systems aren't strong enough. An acquaintance of mine's baby died because a relative kissed her baby with a not yet visible sore. Now for the update. It's been a month and our situation has worsened, leaving deep cracks in our family. The argument with my mother-in-law picked up momentum and seeped into our daily lives. She's been openly critical of my parenting, questioning each of my decisions. I've tried to keep the peace for my husband's sake, but it's been tough. My sister-in-law, who had earlier sided with my mother-in-law, gave birth to a premature baby, and unfortunately the baby caught an infection. It was a scary time for everyone. We all rallied around her, but it further escalated the tension between my mother-in-law and me. She blamed me for jinxing their family with my careless actions. I know it's illogical, but it hurt nonetheless. My husband tried to mediate, but it only caused a rift between him and his family. They accused him of choosing me over them. The strain of this has been affecting our relationship too. We're both stressed, arguing more than we have ever before, and it's cast a shadow on what should be one of the happiest times of our lives. We decided on a therapist for mediation and some perspective. It's helped a bit, but the pain and hurt feelings are still raw. We're trying to find a way to coexist for the sake of our child and our mental well-being. But each day brings forth new challenges and heartaches. I've been feeling lonely, isolated, and second-guessing my every move. It's taken a toll on my mental health, and I've decided to seek professional help. I'm hopeful for better days, but currently it feels like we're walking on eggshells, merely surviving instead of living and enjoying our new family. Now for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. Family dynamics can be complicated, but it's completely unfair for your mother-in-law to point fingers and blame you for something that is clearly out of your control. It's unfortunate that the baby is sick, but that has nothing to do with you. It's important to set boundaries and not let your mother-in-law's baseless accusations affect you. 2. Not the idiot. It's commendable that you are seeking professional help to cope with the situation. Your mental health is important, and it's crucial to take care of it, especially when you are dealing with such a difficult situation. You are not responsible for the health of your sister-in-law's baby, and it's inappropriate for anyone to imply otherwise. 3. Not the idiot. I'm sorry you're going through this. It's great that you and your husband are seeking therapy to try and improve the situation. Remember, it's not your job to manage your mother-in-law's feelings or reactions, especially when they are unjustified. Prioritize your well-being and that of your immediate family. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.